Hey, everybody. I know we're 3 minutes early, but to be early is to be on time in the world I was brought up in. So, this is the first ever live stream of Whiskey Gas Garage, and it could be the last. I don't know. It could be. But we are going to go live. We've got a ton of people who've been asking a lot of questions, and they've been saying, "Hey, why don't you go live, answer some questions, talk to some people out there?" And we are celebrating today our, gosh, 5,000th uh, subscriber came through last night, and I don't know who you are, but God love you for wanting to spend time with Whiskey Gas Garage. It could just be that we drink a lot, and because we're a little early. Now we're a little early because I wanted everybody to get good and soused. And if you're not sitting down with a drink right now, go to the kitchen, go to the bar, make you a drink. Gunther, thank you so much. Jay, you're a big part of why I'm here, my brother. The inevitable Jim is in the house. How you doing, my friend? Gene Brock. About time. I've been here for 4 minutes. Of course you'd be early, Gene. And I want to thank a few people right now. Thanks to the inevitable Jim, who I called this morning. He gave me some great advice on how to set this stream up and how to do it and do it well. And also to Justin Patton at Old Junk and a Dog. So if you're not a subscriber to Old Junk and a Dog, get over to his page right now or OBS Shipyards on here. Subscribe to his. And of course, you're already a subscriber to the Inevitable Jim because it's inevitable. But Justin Patton is moderating the chat for me, and if you get all out of sorts, he'll kick you out. He's not above it. I've told him just kick people out if they get ornery. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be answering questions about past builds, future builds, the builds that may or may not be coming. Brother, I've been sober since February 26th. It makes perfect sense. Get back on the sun. Ranwin Park Nation's on here. Hey, we see those guys at the that stupid car show every Wednesday night. Or if they ask about the Yugo, we will definitely kick you off if you ask about the Yugo. No, we won't really kick you off, but we'll think about it. I got to stop talking because, boys, I got to drink. Let's just do a toast. Let's open the show with a toast. That'll be a new tradition. Here's to us and those like us. Damn few left. Let's just do a little drinking. Oh, and what am I drinking? Sinister Motorsports. This is Gold Top Blanton's. It's the good stuff. My friends Terry and Doris over at Sinister Motorsports. Terry's my good friend, and Doris is my future ex-wife. After she divorces you, Terry, not until then. I won't go there again. That bigamy is a felony in some states. But so we're going to answer any questions you guys might have and talk a little bit about what's going on. Thank you for putting up. Yeah, great moderator putting up everybody's. Inevitable Jim just rolled into a car wash. Got to clean this Lincoln. Jim's been on the road, and you're going to see this episode coming up. And I don't know if I'm allowed to give it away or not. He may or may not have made it home with his Lincoln Mark car from New Jersey. All I can tell you is that he may or may not have made it home. And I'm going to emphasize may not have made it home to make sure that everybody watches that episode. Old Smoky Salted Caramel. That's a guy right after. Old Smoky's out of Tennessee there in Gatlinburg. Toss a coin to your tech guide. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck? All I could say about that, John, is John said wood. And I would fully expect John to say wood. If this gets boring, I'm going to start telling stories about the band tours. Oh, Gene Brock, don't do that. Gene and I have been playing music together for 30 years, and we've done some things on tour. We had a tour bus that if you took a black light in, that you would definitely not sit down on the tour bus. We toured with Alan Jackson back in the '90s, and it was unconscionable. So Jim, you did 1,055 miles. That is one hell of a run in that Lincoln. But I can't wait. I can't wait till that episode comes out. Where you really? All right. Here's a question we just have to lock onto. Was I really a professional wrestler? And the answer is absolutely. Right when I got out of out of the military back in God 90, 91, something like that. I took your tax money that you paid me for my GI Bill. I went to Slam U in Jamestown, Kentucky, and you have to have a license to become a professional wrestler. And I was absolutely a professional wrestler. Jimmy, two times, so nice you say it twice. Wrestled in a full tuxedo. I would come out to the ring and I would say, the first thing you need to do is go back to your trailer park or your public housing project and ask your mama to take the cigarette out of her mouth, ask her who your real daddy is, and tell him to go pick up the government cheese because it's Saturday. Oh, I was a heel. They hated me. They absolutely hated me. I did a show last May, I think it was, and Gene will have to correct me on this because we were on tour. Our band was on tour. We were in Marion, North Carolina, and I was wrestling. Can't remember the guy's name, but wrestling a show there. The first thing I did was go out and marry North Carolina, and I said the best thing that could have ever happened to Western North Carolina is Hurricane Helene. Because it blew through here and did $1 billion worth of improvement to this trashy and oh my God, I thought I was going to get knifed in the parking lot on the way back to the tour bus. But I lost that match too. So I was what you would call in the professional wrestling world. I was a really good jobber. So I would go in because I wrestled in a full tuxedo. I'd wrestle all these country guys, and I would put them over. So the answer to your question is absolutely. I was a professional wrestler. I have a Facebook page, and I don't know if WWF then and E now or whoever still monitors any of that crap, but it's Jimmy the number two times is the name of the page. And I think there's still some fans on an old Facebook page. You can go back though and watch some of those matches, or there's some USA main event wrestling matches on YouTube. You can go back and see a few of my matches, and I even think there's one on my Facebook page. In my posts, there's a somewhere in one of my videos is a full match of me wrestling, maybe last May when we were on tour. So lots of uh, lots of good stuff there. Boy, that's a cool sign behind you. I got a friend in the business. Guy named what is his name? James Lale. James Lale out of Cherryville, North Carolina. He and I've been working together for I don't know 10 years, and he's been doing signage for every side hustle I've ever done. So I have 75 side hustles and a job that actually pays something, and everything else. Gene, I thought we were going to be shot. After that show, I thought we were going to be shot too. 7 Eastern time. Thank you, Toss a coin to your tech guy for educating Mike in Texas of what time actually things happen. Wandering Iron, Big Mike. If you don't know Big Mike, go out to Wandering Iron's page, especially if you like trains. And I mean actual trains that pull down the highway, not the other kind of trains. So, what line of work are you in? Anybody want to answer that for him? Uh, I'm a doctor. Yeah, uh, that's I work for a free clinic. There are 11 free clinics in the state of Colorado, and I'm a doctor shenanigans. I do some doctor shenanigans. They call me. I do some. I do work with patients that otherwise would not be able to see any kind of doctor. They have no insurance. They have no ability to get insurance. They're poor. I spent a big part of my career working at Grace Children's Hospital in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Working, he's a proficient. I am a proficient proctologist. I am a proficient proctologist. Uh, and if anybody needs any of that kind of work done, just send me a picture, bend over. I'll be glad to tell you what I see. Uh, it it is not as awesome as it seems on books because you've never had to do that and go now turn your head and cough. And well, maybe I haven't either, but I probably have. And probably twice a day to myself just to see if I've got a hernia. Or I think if you check yourself more than 3 times a day, you're definitely playing with it. So JJ says, "Hi, how you doing? Keep it PG. You know I'll keep it PG for you, JJ. You're my favorite guy." JJ helped us on the. We did a build. A bunch of us got together, did a build in St. Louis for veterans van build. We built a van for a homeless veteran, And most of the guys, a lot of the guys on the chat were there for that. Wandering Iron was there, Toss a Coin, Old Junk and a Dog, OBS Shipyard, Gunther's Garage. We were all there for that. So JJ is the coax expert, and that's absolutely he knows coaxial cable better than anybody because John made him pull all the cable. The cows do not mind turning their head to cough. I just tell them to move a little bit to the left. They're perfectly okay with it. So CM Russ 57. So I was on to mention the sign. I must confess, so you know who this is now. I knew exactly who you were, James. James Lale from Cherryville, North Carolina, does all the signage and all the work and all the stickers and all the graphics and for Whiskey Gas Garage and really every business probably that I've owned for the last 10 years. And I've owned a bunch of different businesses, so it really is exciting stuff. But we did the maiden voyage episode a couple of weeks back of the Lincoln Log Cabin, and somebody said, "Chad, why in the world would you put a log cabin on top of a limousine?" And I told the only person I told about this was Jimmy D from OBS Shipyard, and I told him about this at the end of Poverty Tour last year because we built the bus, the prison bus, the Folsom Prison bus that we took on Poverty Tour, and we took it on the tour for the band, and I took it on a couple of other things. I had my 30th college reunion for the Coast Guard Academy. I took on all those projects last year, but I told Jimmy D I'm going to look at building this thing, and he told me there's no way you're going to put a log cabin on top of a limousine and bring in a poverty tour. So the second that OBS Shipyard told me I couldn't do it, that's when I decided it was going to be done. And so you have Jim to blame this year at OBS Shipyard when you see the world's only, I think, Lincoln Log Cabin Luxury Living Room Limousine with Love pulling the redneck hot tub trailer, which I took to a car show this weekend full of ice because I left the water in there and it froze. And so we just called it a cold plunge. So it's a seasonal hot tub cold plunge in the winter for those of you who want to do that. How much whiskey do you recommend for me to get this Dremel line straight? I'm going to say 4 shots. Now I'm an experienced Dremler, especially first off. Let's get it straight. I I have a breathalyzer that you blow into that I've had uh, for 30 years. We got it at the Coast Guard Academy because we used to race to see who could get drunk first. And I seldom get below point 0.4, which is half a legal drunk in the state of Colorado. So I'm going to recommend point 0.4. I think that's the number to get a straight Dremel line. So Wandering Iron, we're talking about 3/5 because we talked about it the other day. We used to have 3-2 beer back in Kentucky back in the day. I'm originally from I was born near Harlan, Kentucky, in a little town called Corbin, which is the home of Kentucky Fried Chicken. If you don't know that, you do now. I was born literally blocks away from the very first Kentucky Fried Chicken. Point oh 0.04, point oh 0.04, point 0.4. I drink a lot. I could have meant point 0.4. I have been point 0.4, to be honest with you. That's another story we'll get into when we don't have. We'll do that in a members only chat when we can say what we said. Thank you, John. He said what he said. But from Kentucky, raised around there in Harlan, and then in Albany, Kentucky. Still have a farm in Albany. Actually, going to retire to that farm someday. Been in my family since the War of 1812. It was gifted to my many greats grandfather for gallantry and service during the War of 1812. So, uh, originally from Kentucky, and I people tell me all the time, Chad, you don't have a Kentucky accent. Um, I was talking to the inevitable Jim and a buddy, his Flint, today on the phone. Flint's from Tennessee, and man, it was great hearing the accent. And the second I hear it, I fall right back into it. I don't know how many people when you're around your people, you're from people from down home. My wife calls that Kentucky Chad. She didn't marry Kentucky Chad. She married uh, Dr. Chad, and so I'd lost my accent by then. And yeah, but Kentucky Chad comes right back every time I talk to my dad on the phone. Man, Kentucky Chad comes out thick. I have a thick Kentucky accent. But I spent a lot of time and money losing that accent because nobody wants to hear their doctor talk about driving a tractor or fixing stuff up on the farm or his chickens. And I still have chickens. I've got chickens in my backyard now. In fact, I had chickens in the house today because my wife's down in Florida. I love her, but she's in Florida, and when she's not home, I let the chickens come in the house. Dogs in the house. I lock the cat up in the room because he'll eat my chickens. But I let the chickens come in. I let Henrietta and Cheerio and Hennepin come in today because those are my three favorite chickens, and they just jump up in my lap and eat Cheerios off my kitchen table because my wife's not home. Just tried Yingling beer for the first time. You know, Yingling is the oldest beer and the oldest distillery in the United States. It's in Pennsylvania. My wife is from Pennsylvania, and it's damn good beer. I'll tell you that for sure. Good stuff, Yingling. You lost your accent too, David. You're from Canada. I talked to you the other day. You did not lose your accent, eh? You sound like the guys from Letterkenny or Trailer Park Boys. That's whenever I hear Canadian Dave, and Canadian Dave is still my favorite. He's my favorite Canadian because he's the only Canadian I know. Let's take a breath here and drink. Oh, that's good, Terry from Sinister Motorsports and Doris. I can't thank you enough for this. This is really good. He also gave me a bottle of if you guys are whiskey fans at all, and you've ever heard of Pappy Van Winkle, he gave me a 15-year-old bottle of Pappy Van Winkle that was already 10 years old. So I have a 25-year-old bottle of Pappy Van Winkle I'm saving for a very special occasion. So looking for that. Randwick need a Minneapolis Moline ULDX Poverty. We do. If there was a Moline on Poverty Tour 27, that would be pitter patter. Time to get at her. That would be pretty awesome. Ranwin Park Nation. Throw your name in there if you're willing to, or just a pseudo name. But I just hate calling. I like to people call people by their names. Now I've been on some of these chats where everybody's super sketchy about everything, because they want to hold their privacy and do all this other stuff, and that's fine. Um, oh, Ranwood Partner, welcome to the Rock Gut Whiskey Club. Thank you so much. We do have clubs. So we have some of these private chats where I share stories that aren't necessarily PG, or maybe there's a greater amount of truth to those stories. Yeah, like for 99 cents or a buck 99 or something like that, you can join the Rock Gut Whiskey Club or the Single Barrel Club, and you get 25% off merch. And it, the channel just blew up, guys, and I just started hitting buttons. It seems like between getting that first thousand, which seems like it takes forever, and then 5,000, it literally it feels like it's been a month. And all these buttons come up, and they start sending you money, and uh, you sent 5 Whiskey Gas Garage memberships. Oh, Junk and a Dog, thank you so much. Wow, outstanding. Thank you. Peepaw's Garage. Let me tell you a little bit about Peepaw's Garage. I met these guys on Poverty Tour at the Duct Tape Drags. And let me tell you, I follow their channel religiously. So much quality content on there. They did a little thing on the bus after Poverty Tour, and I really appreciate uh, Nick or Mr. T. Nick, I had no idea who that was. Nick, how are you doing? Nick got his name from his dad. He thought of it when he was shaving. And it's great to have Nick or Mr. T. I like Mr. T too. I pity the fool that don't call him Nick. Toss a coin to your tech guy. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, I appreciate the gifts on the membership page. You guys are awesome. Fantastic. I appreciate it. I have no idea actually what that means, but thank you. I don't know if that's cash or attaboys or maybe a prostate exam. Doesn't matter. JJ doesn't know what a prostate is. Don't tell him. But so we built the Lincoln Log Cabin. We've got it done. I mean, it's done. It is. Uh, we took it to a car show this weekend. You guys will get to see that episode coming up this Friday. Unless you're members, you'll get to see it tomorrow. It goes live tomorrow for all the members. But we had an absolute ball building it, and we're giving it away. And I can't wait. and we've sold roughly 1,000 tickets already. So we're halfway through our ticket sales on that thing. Now I'll just tell you, one guy who you guys know bought 100 tickets. We all know him, especially those of us who are on the Veterans Van Build. And then another guy who was on the Veterans Van Build bought 101 tickets. Well, that upset the guy who bought 100 tickets, so he bought 20 more tickets, and it's getting a little fierce. The competition's getting fierce, but I can't wait to give this thing away and give $10,000 to the Wounded Warrior Project. Again, we don't make a dime on these. Quite frankly, Wendy Fortney, and who's a really good person down in Idaho Falls, gave us a banging deal when we got the limo. Once she heard what we were going to do with it, uh, and then True Log came on as a sponsor and gave us all the log siding on the outside. And then, of course, the labor was, I should be paying you to build these things. We did that was free. And then Gene Brock came up and helped build it. My next door neighbor, Tim, and some other guys really gave me a lot of good advice. The Inevitable Jim talked to me about suspension and gave me some really good advice. So building it didn't cost us any, yeah, it cost us time and a little bit of money. And I don't even look at the receipts anymore because I'm just writing it off my taxes. Whiskey Gas Garage is actually a nonprofit. True story, because we're certainly not making any money. Um, but we are definitely giving it away, and we're already on to the next build. For those of you who saw last week's episode, where we picked up the boat, we have a 21-foot sailboat that we're setting on top of a 1973 um, LTD Country Squire station wagon, and we're going to try to get it registered as a hybrid because it has a 400 gas motor under the hood that may or may not run and drive. We'll see. And that was sponsored by Classic Vehicle Search and Rescue. They donated the car to us for nothing. And if you don't know Jared, you can we'll put up his information at the end of this chat. He's a fantastic guy. Classic Vehicle Search and Rescue. I'm going to install this. There you go. Classic Vehicle Search and Rescue. If you need a title for a car that's more than 30 years old, you go back and watch this. This guy will absolutely get it for you. This is how I do commercials because this seems the way of wisdom. And but I'll put up all his information on the chat. He donated the car. Um, we got the boat for $100. The guy was asking $1,000 for it with a trailer. And Jeff, super nice guy. You'll see him on this upcoming week's video or last week's video. Gave it to us for $100 once he heard what we were going to be doing. So we're going to mount the boat on top of the car with a big sail, and we're going to take it down to the salt flats, and we're going to try to get it to go 50 miles an hour on wind power alone because we've completely lost our minds. We think we can get this thing to go, but I did register it as a dual fuel hybrid when went to get the title because the state of Colorado has lost their minds. They said, "Is it dual fuel?" I go, "Yes." They said, "What are your two fuels?" I said, "Gasoline and wind." And they said, "We'd like to inspect that." And they did. And they inspected the concept. So we'll say making tens of dollars on ads right now. I shouldn't be monetized. This thing shouldn't have any ads, but uh, yeah, tens of dollars is right. Dave, what'd you say? If my wife divorces me because you have too many projects on the channel, you can write them. 10, you may be right, Dave. I like where you're going with this, Dave. Um, if my wife divorces me, it'll be the worst. My wife is the breadwinner. Let's get that. Let's get that. She makes the big money. I make the little money. Um, she made more in her bonus than I get paid for being a doctor this year. So if that gives you any indication, my wife makes the real money. And but when you've got this to come home to, uh, I talk about my wife in the upcoming episode this week. She asked me the other day. She said, "Chad, what's that big box in the kitchen that gets hot?" And I had to let her know that's the oven. And that if you could, she had no idea. First off, my wife doesn't clean. Mama don't clean. Mama don't cook unless Mama wants to cook. And Mama doesn't have to do anything around this house. and Mama likes the deal she's got, and I like the deal she's got. So she doesn't have to do that. Mama ain't divorcing this anytime soon because she's got it made in the shade. I love to clean, love to vacuum. Come on, at least PG-13. Uh, if it was PG-13, I'd give you a little bit. No, I can't do PG. I can do a little bit of PG-13. Oh, JJ's away. All right. So there was this midget, this dog, and this hooker, and we're not going there. That's not totally not PG-13, but I did tell the midget dog and hooker story. And when we do our members only thing next week, there will be the midget dog and hooker story from my professional wrestling days, and it involves a midget, a dog, a hooker, and the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. I have a story from a tour we did in Japan with them, a USO tour back in the 90s, that will take you down a dark path. And I'll also tell you the story that involves a girl, uh, a set of beads, and starting at like a lightweight lawnmower. That's another story that we'll talk about on the members only chat that happened while we were on tour one time when I was a professional wrestler. So Gene knows that story well. We've told it many times. uh, Four nuns walk into a bar. I love it. Uh, Gene, I knew you would come up and say, I will tell that story. Gene Brock can 100% tell that story. And I don't even know if PG-13, if you can say anal beads, but it's a long story. And if you can breathe in but can't breathe out, we will definitely tell you that story as well. So let's take a second. Everybody, somebody put in the chat what they're drinking because I don't want to drink alone because that's a sign of alcoholism, and I'm not a quitter. Hope floats. Oh my God, that story. That girl in the leather pants, Gene. I will tell you a quick story about Gene and I back in the day. We were playing a show on a barge on the Kentucky River, and it wasn't grounded. And Gene's up there. He's the lead guitar player, lead singer. I'm in the back. I'm the drummer. And Gene steps up to the microphone. First song, we're getting ready to do Let It Roll. He's got his guitar on. He puts his lips to the microphone, and where the barge is not grounded, Gene got shocked and thrown into the water. Boom! Went off the barge and fell into the water. And I was a rescue swimmer in the Coast Guard, so I immediately went in. And so, two drunk guys in the water. We get back up on the barge, and we finish the entire show. True story uh, about hope floats. But I did save Gene's life that day. And Cheerwine Zero Sugar. I love Cheerwine. I'm in North Carolina. I lived there for a long time. But you got to do better than that. But I'm glad you're sober. It's good to see you sober. If sober's your thing, don't let me force you into drinking. But what you should totally do is start drinking because that means you're a quitter. I'm not a quitter. I'm not. I've never even, you know, I told people, he said, you should think about stopping drinking. And I said, one time I did. I thought about it, but I didn't stop drinking. I'm not going to start now. We can't be the Cheerwine Gas Garage. We're Whiskey Gas Garage. So everybody drink. Hope floats. That isn't regarding the movie. It has nothing to do with the movie. It has everything to do with a girl named Hope, a field party, her husband, a houseboat named Hope Floats, and a drummer named Chad, and how we almost got shot at a house party in a field in a boat because of a lady named Hope who had no business being married. It's a long story, but again, we'll tell these stories on our members only chat because we got a lot. Milwaukee's best, Nick, the Beast. So in college, I was poor. I went to the Coast Guard Academy as an undergrad, and we were poor. But the Beast and Keystone Light got me through college. But Milwaukee's best, that is some rock gut stuff. Uh, Diet Sundrop, of course you're drinking Diet Sundrop. I used to go, James Lale has a shop there in Cherryville Sign and Graphics. You should definitely log on. Right, look at that. We're doing all kinds of ads today. There's his phone number. You want those little stickers you get from I don't know, Sticker Mule or Sticker Buddy or whatever. You don't want those. They're no good. You want to go to this guy, Cherryville Sign and Graphics. That's his phone number. Uh, Man, James had a refrigerator there, and I would get a diet sun drop and drink it every time he was in there. James is not a drinker, which is probably a good thing because he works harder than any man I've ever known. But he's done. I used to own a chain of ice cream stores. I know you're going to go, Chad, but you're a doctor and you do all these other things, and you're a professional wrestler. You owned a chain of ice cream stores. I did. And James did all the decal work for those. And then we built an ice cream truck out of we built a monster up on 40 Super Swampers ice cream truck that we could take to Rednecks with Paychecks. And we ran our ice cream truck at Rednecks with Paychecks. And we did a bus. We did a 32-foot flat nose international bus, and James did all the stickers on that. There's a bunch of episodes and stuff. Cherry lemon sun drop. Cherry lemon sun drops is good stuff. That mixed with a little bit of vodka and cherry lemon sun drop, or tequila with cherry lemon sun drop. It's phenomenal stuff. You should 100% do it. No garage. Chip, you're not late. Chip and Jenny are two of my favorite people on Poverty Tour. Stopped and helped everybody on Poverty Tour. Plus, he wrote in Sharpie what the next town was. And I drank a lot on Poverty Tour. I drank a bathtub full of bourbon on Poverty Tour. And if it wasn't for Chip and Jenny, I never would have made it because I would look at their tailgate every morning because my vision would still be a little blurred. And I would look at their tailgate to see what the next town was to plug into my GPS. So, who else is going on Poverty Tour 2026 with us? Um, it's going to be an absolute blast. There's a car show the night, the Saturday before, and I think that that's being sponsored in part by OBS Shipyard at his church, and we are going to be at that car show. Can't wait to be there. I'll let him put all that information in the chat. You should definitely get out to that car show. Gas prices are going to make me drive to Justy. Gas prices are through the roof. I'm not going to talk politics, but we are where we are. Gas prices are going to be expensive. The old Lincoln Log Cabin gets 16.4 miles to the gallon, so we're gonna be in the same boat you are there, Justin. Not the 500 Poverty Bago boat, but there's going to be some money spent on gas. But who else is going? Who else is going on Poverty Tour? Or if anybody has Poverty Tour 2025 questions or what to expect on 2026, you've got all the people on here that a lot of guys I know on here have been on the Poverty Tour. Mike, who is the logistics manager for the Poverty Tour, Big Mike from Wandering Iron is on here. So if you have any questions, I'm sure feel free to ask and we'll get to them. So, that is so good. Well, I know you're going, Mike. You better go. Poverty Tour. It's about smiles per gallon. That's exactly right, Nick. I've done a lot of crazy things in my life. Lived a charmed and blessed life. I've been to all 50 states and been to 35 countries, and I've never had as much genuine comradeship as I have on Poverty Tour 2025. I met some people that I'm going to be best friends with for the rest of my life on that. So if you haven't thought about it or you're on the fence and you need to pawn mama's wedding ring, pawn it. Go on Poverty Tour. You'll get the money back at some point. You cannot buy the smiles per gallon that you're going to get on Poverty Tour. I absolutely had a ball. Um, just really good stuff. A lot of sticky diamond plate over the years, red, white. Okay, I get the joke here. I have a limited color palette. My color palette is red, white, black, and diamond paint, diamond plate. I use those three colors in Rust-Oleum. I only use oil-based paint, and I only use diamond plate. So, uh, yeah, you're absolutely right. That is my entire color palette, James, is red, white, black, and diamond plate. Everything I've ever built has had those colors in it, including the bus that we just did and the Lincoln Log Cabin. So, of my good buddy, Mr. Rucker. I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you a story on Mr. Rucker here. Uh, I started this technically back in mid-June of 2025, and I put up one little video about my Yugo experience going to pick up the Yugo, and I'll say it. I can say Yugo. None of the rest of you can. So shut up. And John Rucker was the very first subscriber I had on the channel that I can remember. I mean, the very first guy. And then I did a little giveaway pretty early on when I had like 20 subscribers, and he won the first T-shirt and stickers. So I mailed him a T-shirt and stickers, and he's been with me ever since. John, I can't thank you enough. And he even has a ton of suggestions whenever I put up a video of things I could be doing differently. And I think I even inspired him to buy a convertible, which he probably regrets. So lots of good stuff. And so a big shout out to John Rucker, who I think he's a Tennessee kid. And I say kid, he's my age or younger a little bit. So lots of fun with John. Thank you so much, John. I'm going to send you one of the new T-shirts because you're the oldest subscriber to the channel, and I appreciate you. You were one of the first 5,000. I think we were at 5,055 when we went on the air, and they pull into Uranus fudge. Oh my God! All I can say is, if you pull into Uranus Fudge Factory, that means you've got to pull out of the fudge factory. I tried the pull out method for years in Uranus, and it never worked for me. So, not supposed to mention the Yugo. I know. The story. If you guys didn't watch that stupid car show last Wednesday, I told the Yugo story. I got super drunk one night in San Antonio, and this wasn't like when I was 22. This was like I was 50. I was super drunk, and I wanted my family crest tattooed on my chest. I am a Scot. We were from the O Scots out of Ireland. They dropped the O when we came to the U.S. to get a job on the railroad because you couldn't. They weren't hiring Irishmen, so they dropped the O, and we were the Scots. And I wanted my family crest, and I was really drunk, and I went in and I handed my guy the phone, and I put the wrong picture on there. I'd accidentally put the Yugo logo instead of my family crest. I said, I want this tattooed on my chest. And he goes, okay. And he tattooed it. And it was perfect to the picture, which was that right there. See the Yugo emblem? That is the Yugo emblem right there, tattooed on my chest because I gave him the wrong friggin' picture. And so instead of having the Scott family crest tattooed on my chest, I have the Yugo emblem. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. These kind of stories, they just absolutely outweigh you. Uh, and now I have it for life. And I've had a Yugo now. To be fair, I've had a Yugo since 1986. It was the first new car I ever bought for $3,990. Um, and I keep telling my wife, I said I'd get rid of the Yugo, but I'd look stupid if I had a Yugo tattoo and I didn't own a Yugo. And my wife said, um, have no doubt you look stupid anyway that you have a Yugo. And she goes, don't tell anybody that story. So don't tell her I told you. Even though she's probably on here, I can't see who's on here. But I, it's a true story, and I've got a lot more like that that we're going to definitely tell. So everybody, take a minute and drink. Put it could have been worse. It could have been worse. Let me, when we do our live stream for our members only, which will be adults, I'll tell you about my other tattoo that uh, grows. I made some mistakes in my life. I'll be the first to admit it. Uh, I did some things in the when I was in the Coast Guard Academy that, whew, my roommate was a former professional football player. He was a pro player. He has and it wasn't Tom Brady, but he's got Super Bowl rings with the New England Patriots. And uh, number 68, Max Lane, and he was there back in the Bledsoe era. So he was my roommate when I was in prep school at the Naval Academy Prep School in Newport, Rhode Island. I'll tell you lots of stories about Max. Max is a Fantastic guy, 6'7", 270 when I met him. When he went into the NFL, he's a much bigger guy. But lots of stories about Max when we do the. We'll do some of these stories. Did you tell him about your book? I didn't. I've got a couple of books out. One is a boring doctor book. You don't want it. It's a boring doctor book, but it's sold a bunch of copies, like 100,000 copies. And the other one is You Go Love It or Hate It. And uh, I don't know how to throw things up on the screen, but I'll let my moderator manage that. But somewhere on my page, there's a uh, there's a picture of the book cover called "You Go Love It or Hate It," and it's Yugo stories. Man, when you drive a Yugo, everybody has a Yugo story. Like my mom had one of those, and it died after 8 miles, or uh, I once dated a fat girl in a Yugo, and I had to butter her hips to get her in the back seat. There's Yugo stories, and I tell all those Yugo stories in the book. I tell a little bit about how I met my wife and how I was driving a Yugo, and I think I shared my mama and I, and not mama, my mama, but mama, my son Holden's mama, my wife Jamie. We've been married since the Reagan administration or longer. I can't do math, but what I know, we've been married since Moses was a crossing guard and Christ was a corporal. So I wrote a book, and I kept all of the Yugo stories that I've ever heard in this book, plus all the Yugo jokes, like do you know why they put a rear window defroster on a Yugo? That's to keep your hands warm when you're pushing it. And another one was I went to the auto parts store the other day. I said to the guy, I need a gas cap for my Yugo, and he said, "Well, that seems like a fair trade." So, or how do you double the value of a Yugo? You fill it up with gas. And how do you get a Yugo up to 65 miles an hour? You do it on the back of the tow truck. So I've got lots of Yugo stories from when I was a kid, and like I said, I've driven a Yugo my whole life and still have one. And sometimes you go nowhere, and sometimes you go to the car show and you don't make it home. So it's absolutely, these are all 100% true stories. I wish I was making them up, but I've got a ton of Yugo stories, and we'll get to a lot of those too. So somebody asked in the chat about the next build. He said, I saw you. And first off, Timmy, if you're on here, or I know Jimmy D, you're on here. Yeah, I was backing the Element, Honda Element that I picked up down in Utah, and I ran into the garage. So, Timmy was the first one to point it out. Uh, I was laughing my butt off. He said, when you backed the Yugo into the or backed the Element into the garage. First off, I was flat towing an Element behind my Excursion, and I ran it into the garage. I just hit it because that happened. So the next build we're doing, and the one we're on right now, we're building the Elemental Burrito Company. I have the Element that I bought in Hogback, Kentucky, which is somewhere near a farm in Illinois. Doesn't matter. We're building another Element burrito truck, and it has no motor, no transmission. V10 didn't even know it, baby. You lift the hood on the Honda Element, and underneath it is a griddle, a warmer, and a hand wash sink all underneath the hood of this Honda Element. And the inside is going to be a food truck slash mini camper house. It's going to be a tiny camper. And I know that you guys know that I'm in a band, so I'll sing to you. It's going to be a tiny camper, camper for money. So, Tina Turner, it's going to be a tiny camper that we're going to turn in from this Honda Element with no motor. And there's going to be a shower and a commode, a pooper, and a bed and a desk. And I'm going to pull the tiny camper Elemental burrito wagon behind the hogback Element. So it'll be an Element pulling an Element. That's the build that we're doing right now. And if you're on our members channel, you'll see that tomorrow. It'll be on our members channel, and then Friday everybody will see it. We're doing that because we got to do something until the wagon gets here, and the wagon will be here this week, and then we'll start building a sailboat on top of a wagon, the wind wagon land yacht, uh, which we're going to try to get to 50 miles an hour only on wind power. So that's the next. What's the band's name? My band's name is the Whiskey Wranglers. So the Whiskey Wranglers, and you can find us on Facebook. But the band that I became famous with was called Gene Brock Music. For those of you who are Facebook people, go out to Gene Brock Music, give it a like. That's the band that I normally tour with, uh, and I absolutely love playing music. I've been on tour. I'll tell you a quick story. My son Holden, who's now in the intelligence corps in the Air Force, and he's in school, and he's he called me the other day and he goes, Dad, I can't tell you how much I want to go overseas and be part of what's going on. He knows I served overseas during the Gulf War in Bahrain during the first Gulf War and in the sand. And he goes, I just can't wait to fulfill the family tradition. So this is a kid who joined the Air Force Intelligence Corps. He's in school now and really wants to go overseas to be part of the action. I can't be prouder of that kid. Shameless dad plug there. But so yeah, I've been playing with this, playing music a long time. Holden could have been born on 05, 05, 05. So, that is May the 5th, 2005. This guy given Cinco de Mayo for life. Uh, but here's the deal. It was 05, 01, 05. We'd scheduled his birthday to be 05, 05, 05 because he's a little ornery critter. He wouldn't turn around, so he was coming out feet first. Mama was going to have a C-section. So we scheduled it for 05, 05, 05. And on 05, 01, 05, I got a call. And Gene and I were playing music, and we were on the road. And they said, "Hey, we've got an opportunity for you guys to open in front of 30,000 people for Alan Jackson." Um, the opening band, their lead singer, actually OD'd. Sad thing, didn't die, but OD'd, was in rehab. And they said, "Can you guys cover the show?" And I was like, hell yeah, we can. And I to Jamie said, we're going to open for Alan Jackson. We're going to be on stage in Charlotte at the big outdoor amphitheater for 30,000 people, the most people I've ever played for. And it's in 5 days. And she goes, what else might be going on May the 5th? And I go, I don't know, but I'm going to be playing for Alan Jackson. And she goes, how about your son? And I was like, oh, oh, damn. Um, So she looked right at me in my eyes, saw the excitement, and says, let me see if I can reschedule the birth of our son. I was like, oh. If you ever wondered if you married the right woman, when she goes, let me see if I can reschedule the birth of your son, your only son, so you can play in front of 30,000 people at the Alan Jackson concert. Ah, man, I married way up. Guys, I am punching so far above my weight. So Holden's birthday is on the 3rd of May because I witnessed the birth of my son. And while my wife was still in the hospital, I jumped on a plane, flew to Charlotte, and played in front of Alan Jackson for 30,000 people. So I mean, you just what do you do with that? That is true love. So do I play anything else besides the drum? The answer is I play the guitar, right, Gene? I play the guitar. Uh, Gene will tell you I play the guitar, and I don't play it well. And many times the sound tech will actually turn my guitar off so it looks like I'm playing the guitar because after G, C, and D, I'm pretty lost. Gene tells a story here. Remember when we backed the tour into it? Whew, we were on tour. I think we were in Kentucky, and I can't remember the name of the venue. Gene, help me out. But that's where I met this girl in leather pants, and I was single. And I'll tell that story on the adult channel. But so we were pretty drunk, and we didn't have a tour bus driver on this tour, so we were all taking turns driving the bus. And Gene was driving. Let's say I wasn't driving, but we'd been drinking, and we're back on the bus up next to unload it because we didn't have any roadies either. And we had a Silver Eagle. We called it Barney. It was a big purple tour bus, and we backed it in, and we hit the roof and took out 45 feet of gutter on that bus. We made no money that night. I think we are making maybe like 5 grand that night for the show. And we took it all out, and we had to leave all the money at the venue to pay for the roof, the undercoating, whatever that's called, and the gutters. So yeah, I do remember that, Gene. It was unpleasant. It was unpleasant when we backed the tour bus into the venue. We became one with the venue. But to be fair, that was the night the girl in the leather pants and I had a spiritual meeting, and yeah, that was when the black light came into effect. There's a lot of stories there that we'll talk about later. Ah, let's see here. So I do play a little guitar, but mostly I'm just a drummer. I like to be in the rear with the gear, but I also front the show. I'm the guy who talks all the time because Gene doesn't like to. Let's see here. Do you play any way to make the elemental burrito to be self-propelled? Oh, by methane. Because if you're going to eat a burrito I cook, you're going to have gas because it's going to have beans in it. I don't care if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We got to figure something out there. I like where you're going with this, John. I like where you're going with this, and we're going to figure some way to make that happen. Better late than never. Terry, I've been talking about you the whole time. I'm drinking your whiskey right here that you gave me when we were at the Veterans Van Build. Uh, Terry, I know he's been working all day. He has got one of the most bad butted galaxies you've ever seen. Uh, he had two wires dangling under the dash, so he took the entire dash apart. I just got it back together. I saw the carpet and sound deadening on it today. It was fantastic. No, I was drunk. I know you were drunk, Gene, because I don't drink. Do you know about I don't know about the No Name Nationals, but I want to hear more about it. Chad is like Forrest Gump, except smart. He's been everywhere and done everything. Let me tell you what. Doing prostate exams is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah, that's terrible. It's horrible. It's a horrible joke. Don't. No one laughs at that. No one laugh at that because it's true. I saw the spiritual meeting. You would, Gino. Uh, yeah, yeah, of course you love it, Terry, because you're Sinister Motorsports. Guys, go out there on Facebook, Sinister Motorsports. He's the real deal, Holyfield. One of my really good friends I met on Poverty Tour. Him and his wife Doris, and you know, other than me being a little uncomfortable with Doris undressing me from the waist up with her eyes, I really like that family, the entire family. But Doris makes me a little sketchy, because I felt violated, but in a good way because it was Doris. So you could tell of an hour of stories a night for a year. I don't think we would. Dos Equis. I'm not the most interesting man in the world, but I do like Dos Equis. But I don't drink beer. Uh, and I'll tell you why I don't drink beer. So back in the mid to late 80s, I was guarding. I was chosen to be one of the guards at the Seoul Olympics in Korea, in South Korea, in Seoul in '88. And I was stationed overseas anyway. And I was guarding the Olympic team, the Olympic soccer team, to make sure they didn't defect to Korea. I don't know what I was doing there. I was drinking a lot and I ate dog. That's another story for another time. But after that, I went to I went down to Holland, and they have all these hash houses in Holland, and I knew I wasn't going to be drug tested for a while, so I went to all these different hash houses, and we were, smoking all these different kinds, big bowls of hash, the hookah, the whole 9 yards, and between every bowl of hash, they would give you Grolsch beer, which is a great Holland beer. If you've never had it, they don't sell it in all states. Alcohol content's too high, but they would give you this Grolsch beer, and it used to have this pop top and you pop it off and you drink this Grolsch beer. And it would help you cleanse your palate between the different bowls of hash that we would smoke. And not illegal, nothing wrong with it, not immoral, but they'd give us this Grolsch beer. And then when I got back to the U.S., I couldn't drink any kind of beer without desiring Grolsch. So they sell it in Kentucky, of all places. So every time I'm in Kentucky, I get 30 or 40 cases of Grolsch and bring it back. Or the last time Gene was here, Gene came to my home in Colorado, which is weird. Colorado, you can't buy eggs in a grocery store unless they're free range, homogeneous, and you pet the chickens and you give them kisses and they're fed with Cheerios. You can't buy them in the grocery store, but you can buy weed in the store right next to the grocery store. So you buy your weed in the store and your eggs on the street. I used to buy my dime bags on the street and my eggs in the store when I was a kid. I don't know what happened to that, but Gene makes sure that I'm well. That's why I don't drink a lot of beer. But I do drink Grolsch when I drink beer. And maybe on the next Monday's episode, we'll bring out our favorite beers and start talking about them. So, but yeah, Nick, I'm full of stories, and some of them are even true. And I'll tell you who calls me out on this is um, Jimmy D from OBS Shipyard. We met, and I'm going to tell stories on you here, Jim. First night of Poverty Tour, not even Poverty Tour hadn't even started. It was the Sunday night before. I was at the mall in Joplin, and I'll be there this year too. And I was parked in the bus. First person I met was actually Justin at Old Junk and Dog. He comes up and knocks on the door. He goes, "Excuse me, sir, security, you're going to have to move the bus." I didn't know who this guy was. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." He goes, "Just kidding. I'm Justin." And I'm like, "Holy crap." And, but the next guy I met Mike and then Terry and then a bunch of guys. But Jimmy D, the morning I got up on Monday morning, he's sleeping in a sleeping bag on the concrete and his buddy was in the front of the truck and I'm like, this is not going to do. And then he spent the rest of the poverty tour in the bus. I had 5 empty beds in the bus because it that my band that's what we did. We had plenty of extra bunks in the bus. But he's the first one to call me out. He goes, you know, Chad, I believe about 80% of what you say, and the rest of it I think is bullcrap. And what I said was, I think that's being very generous of you. So, but most of what I say is true and actually verifiable, scarily verifiable. But it was that's true. The old junk. Yeah, of course you did. Some hard chocolate, some smooth chocolate. Oh my gosh. Um, I'm a gummies guy. Gummies are, you know, yeah, 10 milligram is 10 milligram and like 20 bucks is 20 bucks. And gummies are, if I could prescribe them legally, I probably would, but they look like this and, uh, they have a little THC thing right there. So, I don't know. It's up to you what you do. You do you, boo. That's all I've got to say. But, uh, she has her eyes shut for you. Thank you. Terry, when I see Doris around me from now on, uh, yeah, we'll have that. We'll have, and so Nick, guard. My job was they had different military guys from all the 5 branches of the service before there was Space Force and now there's 6. They had us as escorts really for the athletes in Seoul in '88, and I was stationed at Yokota Air Base in Japan in '88 at what was called FISEC or the Far East Section Office. I was in the Coast Guard, so we did all the LORAN called Long Range Aids to Navigation, and what we did was hunt submarines and for the Navy. And so I was part of the LORAN team that was stationed at the FISEC, and they picked a couple of guys from each each section office. And they wanted to represent the Coast Guard because we're the Coast Guard. We're the world's finest seagoing service for all you Navy guys, Jim. The solid nucleus around which the Navy forms in times of war, Jim. Now I make fun of Navy guys. Navy guys used to hound us relentlessly. They had to be at least 5'10" to be in the Coast Guard. That way, if your ship sank, you could walk to shore. So yeah, I took a lot of crap, but yeah, they had different guys from the service, and we would watch out over the athletes. And I didn't draw like women's soccer. That would have been fun to see a bunch of hot lady athletes. No, I got men's soccer, and we got to just pal around with them. But to be honest, they were great guys, a lot of fun. We went, whew, boy, those guys can drink. I mean, this U.S. soccer team, and I don't remember how they did that year. Somebody can look it up in '88, but boy, did we drink, and they could drink. And we spent a lot of time in the Olympic Village in their suites there. They all had adjoining suites, and we drank a lot of booze while I was there. I don't remember a lot of those nights, but I do still keep in touch with a lot of guys from the '88 Olympic soccer team. My name was Catch back then. I went by Catch, as some of the guys in the chat will tell you. That was a nickname that I got in Korea in '88, and it had to do with crabs. We'll talk more about that at another time on another channel, but um, they can jump from a toilet seat. Anyway, I'm a doctor. I know these things, and I'll tell you, there was, whew, if you can catch it, I can catch it too. But we'll talk more about that as we get a little older. So as we're getting ready to cross the 1 hour mark here, and we've still got people watching. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I sincerely appreciate you guys logging on. Most fun you had in a vehicle in another country. Oh my God. All right, guys, you asked for it. Kids, cover your ears. No, I'll just tell I'll just tell the outside of the story. So I'm at the BOQ, the Bachelor's Officer Quarters in Japan at Yokota Air Base, and I'm with this girl named Eddie-san, ETTI. And Eddie is she's a Japanese girl I was dating when I was living over there, and it involves a Japanese car, um, very little clothing, a car knocked out of gear with steamed up windows, and us rolling into the base commander's car. So I'm going to let you guys fill in the details, but there was a base commander's car, a girl. I knocked it out of gear. We didn't set the emergency brake, and we rolled into the base commander's car. And I had to go to the base commander the next day and tell the whole story. And, and as a young junior officer, uh, he said, "Thank you for being honest. That may be the coolest story I've ever heard, and nothing. No page 7, no non-judicial punishment, no nothing, no officer's mask." He was just like, "It happens. We're just going to let it go." And coolest guy. He was an '06. He was a Air Force colonel, super nice guy. Uh, in fact, still keep in touch with him to this day. Not as often as I'd like to, but Ed was a great guy, and I'm not going to say his last name. He may not want to be on here, but still keep in touch with him. But that's the most fun I ever had in a car in a foreign base. So, and that's again a true story. Believes I know, right? 80% of what you say, that is a lot. PG-13. I'm keeping it PG-13, Mike. I'm doing the best I can. Toss a coin to your tech guy. Another veteran, John. I think he was Army or Marine Corps, one of those services that shot at people a lot. Uh, Honestly, is the best policy, John. I couldn't agree with you more. I just don't know how to do it. I take after my grandfather. My grandfather told a few stories, and some of them not even been true. But yeah, sprinkles. There are sprinkles of truth in every story I tell. It's just deciphering the sprinkles from the ice cream, and sprinkles are for winners, as we all know. So honesty is the best policy, and I'll do my best to try to stick to that. Uh, oh my God, Air Force veteran here. I know. I wasn't going to make fun of Air Force veterans, Terry, because my son joined the Air Force. My dad was air police in the Air Force. Uh, in fact, I can trace a veteran in every armed service going back to the War of 1812. Again, the farm that I live on in Kentucky that I still own that I will pass on to my son was gifted to him. His name was Francis Marion Brown in the War of 1812 for gallantry and service at the fall of the Capitol in Philadelphia. So 500 acres he got, which is now down to like 130 acres. That family still owns a lot of it, but uh, the family still owns 130 acres of the original 500, and I've got about 30 acres that I own. And yeah, I'm not going to make fun of Air Force guys at all. Uh, I think the U.S. Chair Force is probably one of the greatest services to ever sit in a chair. Uh, aim high, U.S. Chair Force. So, but I'm not going to make fun of the Air Force at all. I think they are fantastic servants of domestic tranquility, and they have the nicest bases. And you don't even have your own cooks. You hire that out so nobody in the chair force can cook. But the U.S. chair force, I have total respect for it. No, I like you. I like the Air Force guy. Army, I knew it was Army. I knew what you were in. I just wasn't going to say it, John, until you did. I love Army guys. Um, I spent a lot of time with your wives while you were deployed. To provide comfort and caring, and that's what the Coast Guard does. When the Army goes off to war and there's no real war declared, and we're at the time we were part of the Department of Transportation. Now we're Department of Homeland Security, so we're not getting paid right now. But which makes retirement checks not show up either, as it turns out. Doesn't matter. But yeah, we provided lots of comfort to your wives and daughters while you guys were deployed overseas. So I thank you for your service and for all your guys' service. 50% of your policy by switching to Geico. I love it. I have USAA, and I've been with USAA not because it's the cheapest, but because I would have to get online to change it. And same reason I'm still with Bank of America. I don't know how to change all my accounts, and I'm not going to do that. So, but I think Jay's wife works for Geico, so I'm just going to throw a plug in there that. Oh, hey, Chip joined the Rock Gut Whiskey Club. Chip, thank you so much. You and Jenny are awesome. Again, Chip, I don't know why Jenny's married to you, but as soon as she divorces you, Jenny, you've got my number. Jenny, you've got my number. I want to make you mine. Jenny, don't change that number. 86. Am I the only one that knows that song? Or were some of you actually singing along? Some of you were going 8675309. Some of you were singing along, and because her name's Jenny, it just seemed to fit. And this is my, I think I'm on, boys. I'm feeling it. I thought I could do a full hour and a half without being too left of center, but I'm not sure I'm going to make it or not. I've broken out into song, and who knows who sang 8675309? And it wasn't Dexy's Midnight Runners because that's Come On Eileen. And I have a story about that too. And a girl named Eileen, she had one leg shorter than the other. That was her name, Eileen. To be fair, she was actually Japanese when I was stationed in Japan, and her name was Irene. That's a horrible joke. Don't laugh at that. So it is a sing along. I knew you'd be singing along, John. Me and you've seen some of the same presidents. So, I went into the military back when Reagan was kicking butt and taking names. That song was before my time. Of course it was, David. You're 12. No, you're not 12. You just look 12 because you're from Canada. I don't know what it is, but people like Tommy Two Tone. Thank you, Chip. Tommy Two Tone was the singer of 8675309, and my band does that song. Um, and yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's funny. That's funny. Air Force built a PX on the before they do. The Air Force has the best base exchanges. They call it post exchange, but the Air Force has the best. I was at the one in San Antonio. I went down. Holden just graduated in February from boot camp, and I went down. Man, their BX has everything. My BX had like two scrawny chickens and a tractor that wouldn't start. There was nothing at the Coast Guard base exchange, but the one, man, it was like a mall. It was like the Mall of America. So. that was absolutely true. So if you're drinking whiskey with me, and listen, if this works out, I'm going to do this every Monday night. But if you're drinking with me, whiskey with me right now, write down in this chat what kind of whiskey you're drinking because I'm going to need some new whiskeys to try. Uh, this past week on that stupid car show, and if you haven't seen that stupid car show Wednesday nights, that's at 7:30 Eastern time. Comes on YouTube. Go to that stupid car show channel. It's me and John from Toss a Coin to Your Tech Guy, and Mike from Wandering Iron, and Justin from Old Junk and a Dog do a little thing. It's a lot of fun. Check us out. But if you're, I was drinking some Scottish Highlands whiskey that John got me from Scotland, and it was good. I'm not a Scotch guy, but it was actually pretty good. But this gold top Blanton's, oh my God. I don't know what proof it is. I should probably look because I'm drinking it way too fast. It's 750 millimeter. Holy crap, it's 100 and okay, it's 102 proof. It's like Wild Turkey, the kicking chicken, which does not always agree with me. I've got some Wild Turkey stories we'll tell you in the other channel. Terry, Terry, it is fantastic whiskey. Uh, thank you. And Terry's sober and has been for a long time, and I appreciate. And Terry gave me a bunch of whiskey, including some Pappy Van Winkle. And guys, if you've ever priced Pappy Van Winkle, you know that's a, if you can get it, it's a $3 or $4,000 bottle of whiskey that he gave me. I'm saving for a very special day. Uh, but it is really good whiskey. And Terry, I think probably had all these when he quit drinking, and then he gave them to me so he wasn't tempted. Whatever it is, Terry, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it. You don't know any cool songs in Army Aviation. We had to switch to Fortunate Son. Yeah, Fortunate Son. I love me some Fortunate Son. Everybody likes Creedence Clearwater Revival. Uh, you know, I was watching Creedence Clearwater Revival when my wife and I were still dating. So this is 100 years ago. And she was pretty drunk. And we were both pretty drunk, in fact. And I don't know if she's going to appreciate me telling this story or not, but Jamie, I'm sorry. She says, you remember that time we were watching that band Whitewater Rafting? And I was like, Whitewater Rafting? What the hell are you talking about? She said it was Creedence Clearwater Revival, but she called it Whitewater Rafting. But every time John Fogerty would sing "Rolling in the River," she'd go like this with her boobs, rolling, rolling, and and somehow she got out of that whitewater rafting. But to this day, we still joke, and we've been married again since Christ was a corporal. She still calls it whitewater rafting every time we hear John Fogerty. So, uh, yeah, whatever the excellent "Come on, Eileen" joke is, hold on to it. Hold on to it till we get to our adult channel, and we'll tell that story next week. Tell us your best story playing music. Craziest thing ever happened. Oh my God, so many, um, so many stories. I, Terry, I can't tell the story of the craziest thing ever happened on this channel because again, this is my PG-13 channel, and but I can tell you that I played behind chicken wire. Uh, Gene and I had a girl give us her undergarments on stage, and then spend the rest of the night showing why she wore undergarments. There's so many great great stories. Uh, and Gene will tell some of these as we get into our more members only channel, but we'll tell those stories, but can't do it now. Mr. Rucker, 85 to 96. You were under Reagan with me. What was your rate in the Navy? Because John, I started out as a storekeeper. I was enlisted. I went in and enlisted in the Coast Guard, and was enlisted before I went to the Coast Guard Academy. I went through Naval Academy Prep School and then to the Coast Guard Academy. So I was a storekeeper. I didn't know. I didn't even know you served, John. Hell yeah, we were not. We served at the same time. That's awesome. That is awesome, John. Another vet. I knew there was a reason I liked you more than I like most people. You crusty old sailor, you. Man, I like you. It's a ball jar. Listen, I grew up poor. Now I'm not poor now, uh, but I grew up poor. I grew up in rural eastern Kentucky. We didn't have indoor plumbing till 1976. And that's the truth. We still had an outhouse and a wash tub in my house until 1976. My dad was a Kentucky State policeman. My mother was a bookmobile driver who went on to be a college professor. She drove bookmobiles. I don't know if you know what a bookmobile is. It was a big truck full of books, and she drove it into the hollers of rural eastern Kentucky, Harlan, Kentucky, places they wouldn't let mailmen go because they were feds. She could drive up into those hollers, and she taught probably 5,000 kids and adults in these hollers in Eastern Kentucky how to read. My mom was a badass. I'll just say it. I'm sorry for the PG, but my mom was a badass. She passed back in 2020 during COVID, but she was a badass and she drove a bookmobile into these places in Harlan, Kentucky. And I credit everything that I am today to her because she was the real deal. She was from Albany, Kentucky, rural Eastern Kentucky, but she would and then she worked in a milk factory to put herself through college, and then became a college professor teaching at Eastern Kentucky University in the Department of Nuts and Twigs. The only reason I got into college out of high school is because my mom was a professor. Let me tell you a story here. After my first semester of college, I went to Eastern Kentucky University after I graduated high school. My grade point average was 0.07. I had four F's and a D. The college invited me to never, ever come back to their university. And my mom was a professor there. It's the only college I get into. Now that being said, when I graduated high school, I graduated at the top of my class. I had a score on the SATs that was like a 1580. I mean, I was smart, but I had discovered at that point in my life that I knew how to drink. Hell, when I was in high school, I was all state my senior year in high school at drinking. Hell, I was all regionals my junior year in high school of drinking. I drank a lot in high school, and turned out in college, I became really good at it. So uh, I did not do well in college, and that was 0.007. That wasn't 007. That was my GPA, so I never get to go back. Let's see here. Oh, you're drinking Dr. Dickel. I knew you would, Gene. I knew what you and you. I'll bet you're drinking a whiskey sour because I've known you since God forever. Gene and I met at a pawn shop, and it was a pawn shop that Gene owned and ran next to a strip club. Gene's got stories about strippers who pawn stuff and how they paid their bill. Um, your wife and your oldest son are named. Thank you, John Rucker. God bless you, all of you. And you were a machinist mate. You were an MM. Man, those guys were. They could build anything, which is why you're a car guy now. I am some CCR. It ain't me. It ain't me. Ain't no fortunate son. No, no. Man, I love me some CCR. Grew up on it. Uh, yeah, that's my jam. Even the John Fogerty stuff. I love center field and his whole stuff. Even after he left CCR. No garage. Chip. I had no idea, Chip, that you were a veteran. 86 to 93 in the United States Army. Chip, I had no idea. Uh, so, man, these are my people. It's no wonder you guys are logged on watching some guy who's clearly intoxicated. Man, a little bit. Uh, Good stuff. Think about Vietnam. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your father was in country in Vietnam. Thank you, John. And thanks to your dad, if he's still around, or even if he's not, God bless him. Uh, Vietnam was a war. Again, not getting political, but that was something that I never want to see repeated in the U.S. I went from a torpedo's mate to a store. Your wife was a torpedoman's mate to a storekeeper. Oh my God, she that's a step up. A torpedoman's mate. I don't even know what that does, but it sounds like she knows how to handle your torpedo, John. Now, if she's listening, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that I've had too much to drink, but I was a storekeeper, so God love you. We did finance and supply because that's why everybody joins the Coast Guard is to do finance and supplies. So, Jane, yes, she was. Terry graduated in the top 90% of his class. Uh, of course she did. Of course you did. That's. I'm going to tell you a story here, and this is absolutely a 100% true statement. Uh, they used to tell us in med school. Do you know what they call the guy? Kai the guy. I've been drinking Kai Harwood. Uh, do you know what they call the guy who finishes last in medical school? Doctor. So that's what I'm saying. I don't. It doesn't matter if you finish. It doesn't matter. They don't ask you. Uh, well, it's like winning an NBA championship. I'm going to quote Shorzy here, which is one of my favorite shows from Canada. Canadian Dave. They don't ask how, they ask how many. So they don't ask you how you graduated medical school. They ask you how many medical schools you graduated from. One. One is plenty. So it's I know that I know what you meant there. Not the top 10%, but the top 90%. Oh, I got it. I totally got it. Multitasking. I'm getting busy. In the last episode that we just posted called Breaks, Burritos, Boats, and something else. Oh, bourbon. Uh, we actually used for the first time brake cleaner to clean brakes. I've huffed it. We've all huffed it because I cleaned my hands with it for years. But yeah, we use brake clean to clean brakes. I did a brake job on a Honda Element and used real brake cleaner. Pretty good stuff. Top 90%. That's what I'm saying. I know, Mike. I knew you were drinking Dr. Pepper. There's a drink called Dr. Pepper. We used to take, it's called a flaming Dr. Pepper. So we used to take 190 proof, like pure grain, and put it on top, light it on fire, and then drop it down into a thing of Dr. Pepper, like an Irish car bomb. And then we would just shoot that back, the Dr. Pepper, with the flaming 190 in it. Am I am I getting ahead of my skis here? I'm a drinker. Oh, hey, how you doing? Shadow Walker's here. One of the first members of our single barrel club. Hey, man, it is so good to have you here. And I owe that guy a T-shirt. Again, Sheldon Walker, and that's all I see is Sheldon Walker. I don't know your real name. Put it down in the chat. I would love to call you by your real name. I hate calling people by their screen names. But Sheldon was one of the very first people who logged on to our membership. In fact, he was the first single barrel club member, which means he sends $1.99 a month or something. I don't even know what it is. But we don't take any of that money. Every dollar of that, our membership club goes back to the Wounded Warrior Project. Uh, for those of you who wonder, Chad, are you in? You're in this for the money. Clearly, you've made $17 so far on YouTube, guys. That is so not every dime we make on YouTube, whether it's through our videos that we do or through our memberships, goes to Wounded Warrior Project or a Veterans Project where we build tiny houses for homeless veterans here in Colorado. We don't make any money. We don't. We want you guys to log on because every dime goes someplace, but it doesn't go to us. We're 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 doing okay. We married way up. Yeah, my wife Jamie makes the money, and I mean, let me tell you a story, because that's all that we. It's Shelda. All right, Shelda. Thank you. You're my favorite. Thank you so much, Shelda. I appreciate that. Yeah, that is awesome. So I'll tell Shelda a story here. My wife and I get married 100 years ago, and we're on the altar. The altar. We were on a beach. There were five people at my wedding. So there was me and Jamie, who were on the beach together. There was her mom and my mom, a billion sand fleas because we were getting friggin' eaten alive, and the pastor I was working for the Salvation Army at the time doing emergency disaster and emergency relief as a doctor with the Salvation Army. And the Salvation Army guy called my wife by the wrong name, which we're not sure we're legally married, but we're up there getting married. We're doing the whole getting married thing. And what she said to me was the most important words I've ever heard in my life. And I want to tell you guys, and I've told this story before, but not in this platform. She says, during our vows, she said, "You go out and make the difference in the world, and I'll make the money." And guys, if you ever wondered if you married the right person, I lit up like a jackpot slot machine, um, and it's been that way ever since. And I've changed jobs a lot in my career. Um, I met a guy named Father Mark Boisvert. He was a Catholic priest when I was on the Coast Guard Cutter Spencer out of Boston. I was a SWO officer, surface warfare officer, and met him. And years after I hadn't talked to him in years, and I was out of the Coast Guard. I was working in I can't remember somewhere in Charlotte. I was working maybe for the Salvation Army, and he sent an email and he goes, "Chad, I'm out of the Coast Guard now. I've sold all four of my possessions, and I'm going to open an orphanage in Haiti. I want you to come there and work at our clinic, which is a medical clinic in Haiti." And he goes, "God told me that I should call you and that you would come to Haiti and live and work in our clinic." And I sent Father Mark back a thing, and I said, "Father Mark, God did not copy me on that email. I'm in a pretty good place here in North Carolina." And 20 minutes later, I got an email from God44 at yahoo.com, and it said, "Chad, this is God. Go to Haiti." And, and 10 minutes later, I sent a resignation letter to the Salvation Army and said, "I'm sorry, I'm resigning my position effective immediately and moving to Haiti." And I, uh, I did exactly that. I told my wife, who we'd been married not very long, and uh, had a baby son, a young son, and had just built a log cabin out of a bunch of barns we tore down from all over the United States, trucked them back to North Carolina. My wife and I built a log cabin ourselves with our own hands. Another story for another time. And I said, I'm going to go to Haiti and in work in this clinic with Father Mark, and it doesn't pay anything. And you know what she said to me? She goes, "We'll see you in a few months." And I flew to Haiti and I started working at an orphanage in Haiti called Free the Kids. And then the earthquake hit in 2010, and I was in Haiti for the earthquake in 2010 when it hit. I was up in what's called Lacaille, Haiti. So the so here's let me get where I can say here's Port-au-Prince, here's Lacaille, and right in the middle is called Pédagogue, Grand Guave. That's where the earthquake, the epicenter of the earthquake was. I spent 5 days in Haiti on a loader, on a front end loader, scooping bodies up and putting them on a truck that went to a barge that took the bodies out to sea so they could bury them at sea. Haiti's pretty much at sea level, so they don't bury bodies in Haiti. They're I mean, a little grim. I get it, a little grim, but this is the truth. So I was working in Haiti at a clinic, and we were burying bodies during the earthquake, and tragic stuff. But my wife Jamie did nothing but stand by me the whole time I was in Haiti, and I was in and out dozens of times. Sometimes, just for maybe a week, and because I would meet a lot of donors that were giving money to the project. Because yeah, the only way you're going to get any money there is to raise money. So we were raising money for the project there. I took the CEO of TireRack.com through Haiti with a whole bunch of mercenaries out of the Dominican Republic. Uh, lots of lots of stuff going on in Haiti, but I spent a lot of time there up until like 2015, 2016, and so that's my Haiti story. Just just tough stuff going on there. I'm sorry I missed a lot of these chats. I apologize. I get lost and I start telling stories and drinking and we only have a few minutes left. I don't want to keep you guys forever. But Sheldon, that's kind of that story. Um, 10-4, you want to tie on a good one, grab something. Yes, good times, doctor. Good one. I know, true story. Everclear. Oh, I love me some Everclear, Mike. Yeah, Mike. That's exactly what we're dropping in there. Grolsch. I did. They sell Grolsch apparently in Canada. So Shelda, thank you so much for your question, and I really appreciate you saying I'm your favorite. That it really means a lot to me that we're having that kind of impact. So we've just got a few minutes left here on the old thing. I'm gonna let you guys go at 6:30 my time, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 4:35, whatever time it is your time. Uh, I did, John. I married so far. I'm punching so far above my weight. She is my life and my heart. And as a lot of you know, and I've talked about it on the channel, my wife Jamie, and we'll talk more about this in the future, is battling stage four triple negative breast cancer, and she is a fighter. She gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning and still goes to work and yells at her employees because they're not getting enough stuff done. And like I said, her bonus is my salary, so I just said, go yell at those people. But she's tough, and John, I think you're one of the people early on in my channel who was praying for my wife, and she's tough. So and Dave, yeah, Gene can confirm all of these stories, including the midget dog and hooker story. Um, Remember that time that dog with my anyway, it involved a midget, a dog, and a hooker, and it's absolutely true. I'll tell that next week on our members only channel because I can't tell it here. And Terry, I know you and Doris are praying for Jamie, and John, I know you're still praying. She is a phenomenal asset in my life, and she has made me every version of myself, and I've reinvented myself 20 times since we got married. Um, in every version of myself is better because of her. So, um, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, guys, it is almost 6:30. She seems awesome. And yeah, she is awesome, guys. And I was talking to her the other day and she goes, you invited me on Poverty Tour 2026. She goes, I plan to be there. And it blew me away because I love her, but she's, this YouTube thing and Poverty Tour. And she's on you see her, you actually get to meet her on the episode. I think it's called it's when we rescued the Audi TT out of the horse barn. You get to meet her a little bit there in that episode. She's awesome. Her and I have the same haircut right now. You put our heads together, we look like Dolly Parton. I'll let you figure that all out, but she's awesome. Listen, guys, I'm going to cut it here. It is 6:30 my time, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. I promised you'd only go an hour and a half, but I want to thank everybody. We hit over 5,000 subscribers. And 6 months ago, when I really posted my first big video, and I want to thank Dalton at Pole Barn Garage. He's not watching a guy like me, but he is a super nice guy, and he's as real as they get. But I did a 6 minute interview with him on my channel, and he posted on his channel. And I got my first 1,000 hours of watch time because he got 19,000 views on that one little 6 minute video. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be. And same thing with the Inevitable Jim when he shared the interview I did with him and Pam on my channel, and Steve at Build Season. Um, it was just fantastic. So I want to thank everybody here for all their support. Join one of our clubs. And remember, if you're paying 99 cents or $1.99 a month, I don't see a dime of it, not because I don't like money, I just don't need it. Uh, my job is to raise dollars for those who don't have it. And to be honest with you, in the 35 years I've done something with my life, whether it's being a doctor all I've ever done is work for nonprofit organizations, trying to lift up people who have less. And that's all we do on this channel, and that's all we're ever going to do. So, as I like to say, you all hang in, hang out, and hang on. Um, Thank you guys so much. I love each and every one of you.